Hey there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to Confessions of a Domestic Engineer, or as I like to call it, Code. And I'm going to take the time and effort to try and clean up this mess. Yeah. So, guess what? Finally got use of my hand again, and we're going to do this. We're going to get out here, and we're going to take care of this, and check this out, guys. Check it. Oh! What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Oh, you know what we're looking at. Oh, yes, we are. It's the White Widow, baby. So, in all seriousness, I am out here. I want to get some massive gardening done today. I'm going to show some video footage of me working on it. But the goal is to be disturbed by cars. The goal is to harvest everything out of here. We're going to take everything out, pull everything out. It's basically done in here. I'm basically lucking out my time with the frost at this point. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to pull all this one out. Then we're going to shift this whole bed over, and we're going to actually tuck it basically right up against the fence here. And wow, the kids are wild today. We're going to tuck it up against the fence there. I'm not sure if I want to go up against the other fence. I still want to allow access to it, so I might leave the back portion still. But I want to bring this all the way up against the fence. And then I'm going to look at terracing it out a little bit for next year so I can do multi-level on it. I already have plans for it. I'm going to try and even get the multi-terrace built, maybe not today, but over the course of this weekend. Basically build a nice little dirt wall for next year, kind of, sort of. Yeah, so that's that there. You can already see one of the GoPros in place for when I start working down in there. And then I'm probably going to take quite a bit out of this one today. Needs to be done. But this one's going to be finished out today. Totally finishing this one out today. Probably going to finish out the watermelon today too. There's some watermelon in here, and I just don't see them getting any bigger. I'll get into more in-depth talk about that. So I'll probably finish this one out. This one here, I'm just going to leave, man. The kale can go for a while. Kale is a cold weather plant, and we're dealing with cold weather, so we're going to let it go for a while, see what happens, you know. And then we're also going to let the tomatoes go for a while. I don't take tomatoes out until after it starts frosting, because I'll let them go right up until the frost, no problem. Not to mention, they also help guard other things. And then I got to clear out this brush. And I use this brush. I burn this brush. And I burn it in my wood-burning barbecue. And the reason I burn the brush is I use the ash as part of my compost. So now that we've gone through and done a rundown here, I'm going to switch over to my other GoPro, which doesn't record sound so well. And I don't know what I'm going to put over top for music, but I know what I'm going to be listening to, and you're really not going to get to hear, is I'm going to be listening to Black Sabbath. And if you're one of my regular viewers, especially with my reviews, I'm going to tell you right now that this is me doing a triple shot of Black Sabbath, and I'm listening to the triple shot today before I record it, and that triple shot is going to be the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album, the Never Say Die album, and either 13 or Paranoid. I haven't decided on which one yet. I think I'll probably go with 13 because I just want to kind of get it out of the way and done. Otherwise, yeah, let's get to some gardening. What do you say? So let's start with the elephant in the room, the bobbing of the camera. What you're seeing is the camera mounted to the chicken wire, and I really didn't notice it was moving that much, if at all. I really wasn't paying attention either. I was just focused on trying to take the plants out. So focused, in fact, that as I'm retrieving everything, I'm working the back, and I start really working the back, not realizing that you're not going to see the work that I'm honestly doing. So, that was a giant moment of wisdom on my behalf. And so I'm cutting up and breaking everything up into smaller pieces. You can't see every time I walk off the screen. I'm just putting stuff in the composter. And I'm just cutting it up, breaking it up while I put it in the composter. That way it's smaller chunks to break up. In the past, I have tried throwing pepper plants entirely straight into the compost. The effects are somewhat unnerving, so I don't do that anymore. Now I take the time and effort to cut it up, break it up, throw it into the compost that way. And, yeah. Let's see here. This is part of that infinite wisdom. Probably should have trimmed and edited this a little bit so it wasn't so much dead space. But these also just pulled out of the ground too, which was kind of nice. I really made everything shake. Oh look, earthquake! Okay, here we go. Still working it out. I'm just working the other side. I moved the camera over so it shouldn't vibrate as much. It's still attached to, I think this time it's attached to the post with just a screw that's there. It's just sitting on it clamped, so it shakes because I'm mainly hitting the whole entire garden at one time. Right there, that's the last of, well, not the last, there's habaneros in the other side as well, but that's the last habanero plant in that garden I'm cutting out. I wanted to get that out of there, and that's in one of the other ones. This is basically all pepper plants except for the thyme. The thyme is still there. You can see the thyme over, that's that bush that's in there still, you can see on the left. And I really probably should have taken the chicken wire off before I started doing all this work, but I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do about the chicken wire at first. I kind of made up my mind on that as I go, which I will explain shortly. Here I've just gone to get the planter that I need to take the thyme out. I actually plan on saving the thyme. So I went and got one of my old planters. It was just sitting up on the porch. Oh, there we go. I kicked the pole. Look at it vibrate. Haha, earthquake. I am Godzilla. Alright, here we go. And digging up the plant. Want to make sure I get plenty of root and some of the dirt. I am going to most likely bring it in. If I don't bring it in, I'm going to take the cuttings off. And I'm going to use the cuttings to start new ones. I haven't made up my mind entirely on that yet, but that's me preserving it for now. So now that I've gone and I've emptied out all of this here, didn't take too long to do, only about 5 minutes or so really. And that's with me having to run back in the house for stuff and taking extra time to do that. Now I'm gonna strip off the chicken wire there, because I'm not going to need the chicken wire is not going to be needed up against the fence. I'm just going to have to readjust a lot of it for next year anyway. So I'm going to have to strip off the chicken wire. I'm going to have to do it kind of carefully since, it's rusty. And then we'll get into a little more. And just before that, I want to show you, this is the new batch of compost. Post someone stealing my fucking compost. Man, I still can't get over that. So that's just with adding the new peppers in today and getting it going again. And we're going to be making some more ash to go in there. So that'll be good. That'll help out a lot. And yeah, we're going to keep moving along here. All right. Okay, so you'll notice as I go along here, I'm trying not to move tons and tons of dirt. So what I do is I start digging it out from the center, moving it over, and piling it on the section that's there that I know is never going to move. That section on the left, which the thyme is kind of blocking at the moment, that's not going to move at all. That's going to stay like that. Move some stuff out of the way here. Okay, so this is where I go get the wheelbarrow, and the reason I grab the wheelbarrow is to start throwing dirt in it. I jack it up to 4 times the speed here because it's not mounted to anything that can shake a lot. I know you're getting a thump every time it hits the wheelbarrow, but I did that for effect. I want you to feel the weight of that dirt hit the wheelbarrow. Haha, that's right. Cinematography 101, baby. Feel that way. You don't see it coming down, but you can feel that way when it hits. As you can see, I'm pulling it off. The reason I'm trying not to move this dirt 1,000,001 times is, one, it's heavy. Two, I'm just getting the use of my hand back. So the less distance I have to move the dirt, the better. I'm also trying to scrape and get as much dirt off the sides as possible and loosen it up, which is part of the reason I'm using the sledgehammer there, just to make it easier for me to move. And I don't want a bunch of dirt left over. The only reason I'm putting it in the wheelbarrow is I do have to remove some dirt the whole way around. As we go, you'll see why. You'll understand better. But right now, yep. And also, the other thing is I have recorded the entire process of most of what I did here. You'll see at the very end when I wrap everything up, the situation there. But I want you to see all the work that honestly went into just the simplicity of moving this. And I wasn't moving everything a lot. You'll see how much I'm moving, and as I go here, you'll notice I keep pulling up my pants more and more. And that is because as I keep moving, not only do the jeans loosen up, but I start sweating my ass off, losing a little bit of extra weight. I was also a little too lazy to go try and find my belt in the house because I just didn't want to, and I decided to be a dumbass and keep struggling throughout this entire video, pulling out my pants. So, if you are a stoner, smoke a little of the reefer there, take a toke every time I pull up my pants. You're feeling really damn good. Just a toke, though. Just a toke. Let's not make that a drinking game. Yeah, maybe a sip of beer, but just a sip of beer. You know, I pull up my pants a lot throughout this, I'll tell you right now. This is me moving it over to place it where I want it. Not entirely in place yet. Part of what I had to do with moving that is I had to scrape out all the excess soil and dirt that was there. And that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing me dig up all the weeded area. Actually, at the moment, you're seeing me pet the dog. That's Sierra across there. I'm trying to train her that she only has to bark at me once and I'll go over and pet her. So that's what she does. We go outside, she barks once, I go over, I pet her. I'm talking to the neighbor as well, not the dog as much as it would look like I'm talking to the dog. I'm not. Anyways, so as I was saying, I'm digging up all the dirt area here as I'm going through, and I'm kind of glad that the neighbor was slowing me down a little bit with this work, because I would have plowed through it way too fast and I probably would have hurt myself. She was kind of forcing me to take my time to stop and talk for a moment while I was going here. Then I got to a point where I just kind of stopped talking. And my pants falling down and falling down. But I don't let you see my undies now. No undies for you. Okay, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm still just going through here, and this is me. I'm honestly, that's all I'm doing is I'm digging out all the weeds that's there, all the grass that's there, and I'm dumping it on the other side where the dirt pile was last year. I eventually want to put in a proper compost pile for this type of stuff, and I need to do that before the end of the season. But I am not there yet. I'll be there soon. You can see Sierra is just watching my job, watching what I'm doing. Alright. I wish I had something more exciting, and I'm doing this overdub before I have music picked out, so I have no clue what music I should be listening to here. I hope you're enjoying it. It's just nice light background music. It's probably Howling Odyssey music I've used before, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. Alright, here we go. Moving the box over the rest of the way. Gonna fit it into the exact spot I wanted, hopefully here. What am I doing? Oh, I'm knocking the dirt down. That's what I'm doing. Yes, because that pile I made didn't move over far enough. That's right, I forgot about that. So, the idea here is I just want to move little bits at a time. I'd rather move the same bit 4 times less than, 2 or 3 feet, then, move it twice and like 10 feet or something like that. Or take it all out, put it in a wheelbarrow. If I had a working wheelbarrow, it might be a little bit of a different story. But I just wanted to get the dirt moved over with as little strain and effort on my body as possible. That's really what I need to stress here. I was really trying not to strain myself. Now I'm lining it all up where I want it. Okay, so at this point, I'm digging out from underneath. I've got it lined up where I want it. I'm just digging out the exact dirt that I need to move and refill it back in. I'm not worried about picking up other stuff that much. It's okay. I'll be coming back around to moving some of this dirt again anyways. You'll see that soon enough. And every time I take a pause, I'm just looking at exactly where I gotta dig from and what part I gotta pull out. I'm trying to make it as easy on myself with as little work as possible. And every so often I like to stop and move the camera so you can get a better view or a slightly different view, see kind of what's going on here. See the difference that it honestly starts to make after a little bit. And there we go. Oh, you can see it just kind of drop down in place a little bit. Now I did have to still level this out, and it wasn't that easy, as you can see here. It's still wobbly. Gets to a point where I'm probably spoiling it, but I start leveling it out using bricks in the corner, which I did last year as well too. It really just makes my life easier until, it gets natural filling from the soil that's there or whatnot, or the grass that's around it, stuff like that. And I want to know if anybody's actually paid attention how many times I pulled up my pants. I personally cannot pay attention to that many times. I lose track. I lost track, quite a few tokes ago. This is me digging out some weeds still. If I dump it over the fence, that's me digging out grass and weed. If I dump it in, that's me actually putting dirt in. Alright. Now what I'm doing out is I'm cleaning out the next section there. I gotta clean out that whole area between the 2 garden beds. And the reason for cleaning that out is I am going to drop another garden bed in there, which we will get to. I will explain. I'm going to explain poorly in a moment. I've got some video coming up where I'm going to explain it poorly. But at the moment, I'm once again digging out the weeded area, lifting up as much of that as possible because I am going to drop another garden bed down in there, and I want to keep it as weed-free as possible, just to make my life easier. I'm sure that, this is not the most exciting thing to be watching, but once again, I want to show you the actual time and effort that I put into this. Now, I want to mention that this is being done on Saturday morning, before I do anything else. Like, everybody else is basically still sleeping in the house. Nobody's gotten up to go to work yet. Tracy took the day off, but even she ended up going out. She went and saw her family and hung out with her dad for a while and whatnot. And I'm just out here working away. And overall, I don't mention this in here, but I end up putting in a good solid 2 hours or so, and almost 3, I think. And I can only work for so long. I sweat so badly that I actually have to go stop, and I got to spend the rest of the day basically hydrating. And you can see here that I'm just starting to really get into that sweaty mode as I go. Hi there. So I'm at a bit of a crossroads here. We got this moved over. It's not exactly where I want it to be, but it's close enough. I'll leave that little bit of a gap there. I'm okay with that, because the reality is that fence clearly does need to be replaced at some point. So until I replace the fence, you know, that'll work good enough. Now, I was talking about terracing this, and I want to terrace it towards the fence. So I think I'm going to use the bricks there, because those are a lot of leftover bricks I got, to help terrace that, which means I'm now going to, for the third time, shift that dirt one more time. Oh, excuse me, shift that dirt one more time so I can move it over there. And I think that's what we're going to do next. But the big crossroads is, do I completely empty this one out and then move it here? Well, to be fair, what I would have to do is empty this one out. Well, not completely empty this one out. What I want to do is basically empty this one. We're going to move it over to where this one is here. And hopefully that'll give us enough space to move that one over into that empty slot. But I think what I might do is I might just try and lift that one up, leave the dirt pile there. So if I lift it up and leave the dirt pile there, I just got to move bit by bit, right guys? Bit by bit. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm going with. Whether or not that gets done today is another story. I'm already tuckered out, man. It's been a lot of work already. A lot of work already. I'm getting old. Yeah, so let's get back to this and see how this goes. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm trying to clean out the bed that had a few peppers in it, because I kept some pepper plants in there, but this was mainly where the cucumbers are. If you remember, you can go back and watch the footage before of my cucumbers, but that's the bed that the cucumbers were in. I had already emptied that out a while ago. I'm not gonna bother digging out anything because I just want to pull the bed out here, and that's all I'm doing. I'm sticking the shovel underneath it, just pulling up the wood, because it's not like it's hammered into the ground or anything like that. The weight of the dirt keeps it in place. I pull it out. I gotta move everything out of the way. You know, it's kind of a fun little look at me, I'm in high speed. All right. And I'm pulling out peppers here. I'm cutting again. What I'm doing here is, these are a lot of habaneros, so I'm pulling off the habaneros and I'm cutting the plants as I go. I'm just cutting off chunks, pulling them out, then throwing it into the composter. Once again, you know, I like to cut down as much of it as possible, and I'm only doing the habaneros. Hey, look at that, man. Things got so bad with my compost being stolen, I had to hire private security come through. That's exactly what you saw there. You saw my security coming through. You know, we're talking, telling them what's up, let them know my compost is good, my compost is not being stolen. It's so bad, man. I got 2 security guards that regularly patrol this house now, man. You know, I pay them off in fruits and vegetables. Hard work, labor. No shout outs to the companies, because, you know, they make me pay, so they don't get free. Anyways, no they don't, it's a joke. So anyways, here we go. I'm still working on cutting out the habaneros here. This is the last of the habaneros, 100%. There are no habaneros after I finish pulling all these. There are some pepper plants that are still left in here after I do this work, but there are absolutely no habaneros. This is the last of the habaneros. Habanero, 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 habanero. Sorry, I am ridiculous at this point. Moving on here. Now, a lot of these habaneros I actually gave to my dad. I grew so many habaneros, I don't need them all. I loaded my dad down with a ton of them. I'm going to dry out most of these. I've got a dehydrator. I'll probably do that in an episode coming up. Most likely. We'll see. Depends if I have my camera ready in time or not while I am filming, I guess, really. That's what that boils down to. And now what I'm doing is rolling the barrel over so so I'm mixing up the compost that's in there. It helps it helps break down the fresh stuff faster by coating it in the other goop that's already in there, and it really does help with the breakdown process, I find anyways, especially considering how much I tend to load it up a bit there. It actually got to a point, which I'll get into later, where I actually stopped putting compost in there and I actually add it directly to the ground. But I get into that towards the end of the video. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just taking enough out of the one side so I can take the dirt out of there. I'm going to take the dirt out of there, I'm going to drop it over into the one on the far left, because I just want to be able to move that garden over enough to put the box that's standing up on its side right now in there and leave the room I need to walk through. And once again, I don't want to have to walk forever. I know I'm going to mention this later on as well. One thing I try to be careful of with this particular box is all the dirt that's being used in there is all dirt that was used to grow peppers. Peppers are a completely different type of, they're technically a fruit, honestly. If you go by all standards, I guess, of a fruit, they are a fruit. But peppers are a different type of fruiting vegetable than a tomato is. And tomato is a vine, so they kind of use nutrients differently. They kind of take stuff out of the ground differently. So you never want to plant the same type of plant in the same area more than 1 year in a row. I don't plan on resting any of my garden beds this year because of all the different changes I'm doing and moving stuff around. So I'm just going to grow the tomatoes specifically where peppers were grown for the most part, and predominantly try and use just soil related to the peppers. Now, I don't know if you caught that or not. I was a dumbass, and while digging and hammering and whatnot, the speaker had actually fallen off the top post, which is why I had to pick it up and move it and put it over there on the composter so it'll be on a nice flat spot. And this is just me working on trying to get it all moved over again. Back to work, moving the dirt, shovel the dirt, shovel the dirt, shovel the dirt until it hurts. I really hope I've got some good music going on here to help it keep you entertained to some degree. Alright. This is just me moving it over. I use the sledgehammer to move it over. Yeah, it puts a little more wear and tear on the wood and the screws, I'm going to be completely honest. But it's less wear and tear on my body with picking up and moving it. I just basically let the weight of the sledgehammer tap it over. And here is just me digging out a little extra along the sides, because it's the stuff at the bottom and along the sides that really kind of makes it difficult. You know, I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible here. You'd think it isn't with how long this is taking and how anal retentive I'm being. Those are just weeds. And that was the other thing too, as I'm going through here, I am doing a lot of weeding, because the less weeding, not weed, because I don't want to confuse that with the legal cannabis that can be grown here in Canada. You know, in Canada, we are entitled to our 4 legal plants in our backyards, or anywhere on our property, just 4 legal plants. But this is me weeding as well as I go. I do have a weeding pile that you can't see, it's just off camera. Move this box over, moving stuff out of the way to get that box over. Take the vegetables out of screen. Actually, I took the vegetables completely up and into the house. I just cut it in that particular spot because it was a large chunk. There's a few times I've cut it where there's large chunks off the screen. I know in the beginning I didn't so much, but there was more to have to establish talking-wise in the beginning, which is also part of the reason why the speed is slower in the beginning than it is here. Here, I'm just got a lot of micro actions leading to one big action, or big result, I should say. So this is me putting it in place. put some bricks in there just to put it the way I want it. Then I start filling some dirt back in there because I have to clean dirt out. Part of the next phase does involve removing dirt out of there. And the reason why is I do mention my plans to do some terracing. And as I was going through, it was plotting and planning in my head. And next I do get into the setup for the terracing. But in order to terrace it the way I want to terrace it and not waste soil, I need to move some out of there again. But I need to have it dirt over on the other side. Anyways, yeah, it's just a lot of dirt. I'm looking for a lot of excuses to move dirt around a lot, but a little at the same time, making my life as easy as possible, which I'm hoping that you'll see how this made my life easier. And this is me just from another angle through the use of clever editing. Made it look like there was not a beat missed. Get a better view there of the two garden beds and moving stuff around. Now, these two garden beds here, I never laid any tarp under them last year either. Those are just pure beds going straight down to the ground. Right now I'm having fun just tossing bricks in because I'm using these bricks to help build up that section. These are the same bricks that I used when I did the video about doing the side of the house. To help take some of the water away from the side of the house. I don't really need the bricks for a whole lot of stuff outside of maybe some garden decoration, which I plan on using later on as well. Here I'm just mainly trying to fill in here because, like I said, I want to terrace it. But instead of wasting all the dirt and having all the dirt from the top down, because if I add another at least 10-inch board up, instead of wasting a solid 10 inches of dirt, I'm gonna put that in, and then that'll help hold the dirt up higher. Realistically, like I mentioned before, I should honestly put a layer of sand over top of that, at least an inch thick afterwards, just to help prevent water or soil erosion from going down too far. But that's alright. I'm not going to worry about that here. I'm not going to worry about that this year. Because I know with my plans in the future, as I work on it, it is honestly going to get built up higher and higher. I know that is what's coming. And even the plan I'm working on here is different than what my original plans were for this section last year and with years to come. I had planned on putting different plants here, but now I'm at a point where I like this idea of terracing this one here instead. And I'm going to be completely honest with you with the next part I say, which is half joking, half, that wishful thinking. With all the terracing and building that up, it's going to create quite the deterrent for zombies in the zombie apocalypse over time. Yeah, I gotta get that zombie apocalypse planning in there when you can, folks, because zombie apocalypse planning is always useful. That'll just make this harder and harder for the zombies to topple over as they're trying to come in. But, as I mentioned earlier as well, I do eventually plan on putting a fence in too. Probably a bit of a higher fence, so we'll see how that goes with putting the fence in over the years later on too. And I'm only using loose brick here because that's all I need is loose brick. I don't need anything heavy duty, and at this point you'll think that I'm cheaping out. I'm not cheaping out. I actually chose to go this way on purpose. I didn't want to do a whole other layer because I do want to allow some water flow underneath still, because I'm still working on exactly how far out I'm going to go with the terracing. And at this point I'm just giving a light cover up so you can see the overall effect, and also to make my life just a little extra difficult later on when I go to put the extra board in. Because, why not make my life more difficult for myself? That's just the smart thing to do. And But the bright side is that'll be the bulk of this particular bed finished out, which makes me happy. I won't have to come back and do anything else with this bed until I put the terrace part in, the second layer, and then I have to fill that in, and at that point, hey. Okay, everyone, I'm going to show you, this is Sunday evening, I'm going to show you the final product after everything I did over yesterday, which is all the video you saw. You didn't get to see any of the video that, there is no video of me doing the work this morning. I was kind of in a rush. The weather was threatening. I didn't want to be putzing around with the cameras, everything else like that. I hadn't fully downloaded everything, and realistically, you really didn't miss much. So we're going to cover this pretty quick. All right. So that there, you should recognize that dirt pile. That is where the cucumbers were. So that's cucumber soil that was in there. Now, that's a small tactical error on my behalf while planning, and I'll make up for that later when I get to this part. And the reason why I say that is you really don't want to use the same types of, or the soil for the same type of plants if you're going to go with the year after year, you know. So that was a vine type plant. Tomatoes are a vine type plant, so I really don't want to use any more cucumber soil in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly dig out more soil from the peppers and use that to fill in. But you'll see the refuse in there as well. That refuse, that's tomato, and that's all tomato that I was cutting out of there as I'm prepping that to finish that out. You can see where a lot of it's dying out already. So instead of it letting it go through this slow process, I get in there, I do some cutting of it. It helps the fruit go redder faster, produce better. That way I can get as much out of it as fast as possible. It's a good end of the year trick, really. And then I throw all the scraps in there. That way it will compost over the rest of the fall and the winter. Get a nice breakdown there, some fresh nutrients. Turning the soil over as well. I will probably dig some of this side out of here as well and put it in there because tomatoes will go in there next year. The terrace part here will probably just be kind of herbs. You know, I'm thinking basil will probably go in there. I'm not 100% sure. It depends on how high the terracing ends up going. I only plan to go up one level, but I might end up going up two. You never know. I might put corn in there as well, or I might do tomato on the top part. There's a good chance I'll do tomato on the top part, tomato on the next part down. Maybe, I don't know, tomato on the top part, something on the, I might do onion. That's a good idea. I might do tomato on the top part of the terrace. I'm going to do onion on the lower part. That way the onion can still get some good light in there. And that way I can kind of canopy the tomato over it this way. That'll be the plan for next year, I believe. We'll see if that's how it goes. This will be tomato as well, but it just won't be allowed to run as high as it did last year, and that's okay. I don't know what I'm going to do in this one next year. I might do cucumber in it. I might not. We'll have to see how that goes. And then pepper will end up in probably this spot, or what'll be in around this spot next year, because everything's going to... This one will move over, as you can see, about the same amount there. I'll say it's what, about 2 feet? Not even, about 1.5 feet. Let's see here. So I'll say about 1.5 feet, okay? Give or take. Move over about 1.5 feet, so I'll move over about 1.5 feet. So I just got to finish kind of digging out that section right there. Dump it in. Finish moving it over. I'll have to clean the grass out of here. Probably should have done that first, but you know, whatever. But I still got to take the plants out of there. There's still a few peppers that were going on here that were worth letting it keep going. See what happens. No harm, no foul, really. Get as much out of it as I can. And then let's look at this really fast here. You know, as I was saying, it's trimming out of here. There's some red tomatoes in here that just were not that red earlier. I can see that guy back there. That one was not that red earlier. So what I'm trying to do is working. These ones are already ripening. It can tell. It knows it's the end of the season. Oh, got another one. Look at this one in here. Ooh. Let's pick that out. Oh, that is going to be lovely with tonight's dinner. And we'll get that one too while we're down here. Those are definitely going to be part of tonight's. Oh, there's another one back there. Let's get that one too while we're at it. Oh, that one. There was one there that over-ripened. I don't know if you caught that or not, but yeah. So that's that, folks. That's the work I've done on the garden this weekend. Part of that did get sidetracked because I did some work on the front of the house, but that's for the next domestic engineer episode. That'll be great. Anyways, at this point, I'm going to plug Patreon. I know I haven't done that in a couple. Definitely, if you kick in a Patreon, it helps me experiment more. It gives me more money to play with to experiment. Outside of that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Comment section, please leave me your comments. Peace, love, take care.